Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we are doing a DIY reusable advent calendar out of toilet paper roll tubes. I've been wanting to do a toilet paper DIY for so long. We've been stashing them for a while actually. And with Christmas right around the corner, I figured they would come together to make a beautiful Christmas tree. So why not do an advent calendar? I actually don't think I really grew up using an advent calendar when I was a kid. Why not start now that I have my daughter, even though obviously she's too young to use it or even really know what it is, what it's for. But anyways, let's get to the project and how I put it together.
So for this project, we're going to be using a ruler, some tape, some green thread, a hot glue gun, a thin satin ribbon, a thicker decorative ribbon, this is just scrap ribbon that I happen to have, some scissors, a pen and marker, just plain white printer paper, colorful felt, of course, our toilet paper tubes, and some gorgeous gold glittery wrapping paper. With everything aside, the first thing you want to do is to make sure that your toilet paper tubes are clear of any toilet paper. And I also gave all of these tubes a little rounding out because some of them had been flattened. But once that's done, we can go ahead and start covering them up with our gold wrapping paper. We are 1000% gonna get gold glitter everywhere for this project. And the reason I'm using this particular wrapping paper is not only because it's pretty, but simply because honestly, glitter wrapping paper just doesn't tape very well. So I'm not gonna bring a hot glue gun when I'm wrapping presents. So I figured, why not use it for this project? And I can take a hot glue gun to glue it onto our toilet paper rolls. To cover these toilet paper rolls, I'm pretty much just gonna measure out how long the toilet paper tube is, and I want to leave a little bit of excess because we're actually going to be folding that in. I am all about the details if you didn't already know, and I want to make sure this lip of the toilet paper tube is covered. So I am just going to do about 5 squares. Now that I have that cut up, I'm just going to measure how long of a strip I need. It's about 5.5. So now, since we're wrapping 24 of these, I'm just going to go ahead and cut a bunch of these squares until I have enough to cover all 24 tubes. Now that we have all 24 squares cut up, we're going to start gluing them and covering up our toilet paper tubes. Obviously, no one's going to really look at the back, but I think it's just going to give it a finished look overall, which is why I'm centering it and making sure to cover both the back and the front of the tube. I'm just gonna give this a couple of dabs of hot glue. Try to keep it as straight as possible, like so. Pull it nice and tight. Finish it off with some more hot glue. And then we're gonna go ahead and add some hot glue on the rim, the inner rim, and start folding it in. Now you have the glitter in the front, the back, and all around. Now that we've got all of our tubes covered in our gorgeous gold glitter wrapping paper, we're gonna go ahead and cover the inside with our white printer paper. Now this is definitely optional. You're not really gonna see it because we're gonna be making covers for these holes and you won't see the interior until you're actually flipping open those covers. But this is what we're going for. I really like the look of it. I think it gives it a very clean, polished look and less DIY toilet paper roll. I've already cut out a bunch of these white squares. I measured it the same way I did the wrapping paper, except for the width. I actually went a little bit less than the actual width of the toilet paper roll, and that's because we don't want to have to go back and trim off the excess. It's okay to have a little bit of the gold rim showing, as shown here. So this was definitely kind of a tricky process that I had to figure out how to perfect, but this is how we're going to go ahead and do it. You just roll this paper up, significantly smaller than the actual opening of your toilet paper roll, then let it expand itself. And then you're going to want to unroll it as much as possible until it looks like each side is completely touching the whole width of the toilet paper roll, if that makes sense. And then I'm also making sure to try and line up the ends of the paper as well. I was really trying to do this step without tape, but it turns out tape is going to be my best friend for this step. So what I'm going to do is just hold this in place on one side. Take a little bit of tape, just a small strip of tape, because I don't want it to be so noticeable. And then while I'm holding it in place on the other side, I'm going to go in and just add that small strip of tape to the end, like so, so it stays the proper width. And then to make sure it stays in place in the front, we're just going to give it a dab of hot glue in 1 or 2 places, really up to you. We don't want to do too much. And then just press it down. The next part of this project is going to be to take our white felt and trace these tubes. Okay, you guys, it's literally 1:24 a.m. I have glitter everywhere, even like a lot, like right under my nose, and I don't even know how that happens. But I definitely did not think this project was going to take me this long, but it's super, super late. So I'm going to call it a night, and we'll just have to come back tomorrow. Okay, we're back. While I was away, I finished cutting up all of our white circles. These are going to act as the cover for our tubes. I already did a little sample here, and this is going to be a reusable advent calendar. So the way that I've designed this is to string it so that we'll be able to flip these over instead of opening them up like some advent calendars are, and they're just one-time use only. We'll be able to use this over and over again because you can just keep flipping it back and forth. Since we are doing it that way, we need to decorate both sides. So I've also gone ahead and cut and tied all of these miniature bows. I'm using 4 different colors. I have this really gorgeous sage green color, a baby pink, a silver gray kinds of color, and then this bronze color. I really like the idea of all the mixed metallics. I think it's gonna be really pretty. So I'm just taking a very, very small dab of glue, putting it towards the bottom middle of the bow, and then we're just sticking them right on. I'm sticking them a little bit high on the circle, and then I'll go in afterwards and trim the ends. We don't want it to be bigger than the circle because it's gonna get in the way when we are flipping it back and forth. And I don't want it to show when the bows are on the back. But let's go ahead and glue all of these on first. I was playing with the idea of making little ornaments, little foam ornaments to glue onto there. But the bows were a lot easier, and I liked the colors of the ribbons that I had on hand. If you wanted, you can definitely avoid making these little ribbons yourself, and there are always miniature bows that you can find at the store, especially this time of year. Or you can pick up some really cute little holiday stickers and just decorate it however you want. So let's just go ahead and trim any excess ribbons. When trimming your ribbons, you just want to make sure that you're using shears that are nice and sharp, so that way you don't end up with frayed ends. Okay, our bows are all glued on. Now we're gonna go ahead and flip them over, and we're gonna just label them with the days 1 through 24. I also want it arranged so when it's in a tree, it's not actually in order. I want the dates to be kind of random, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just all over the tree. And I want to do that because when they're all flipped over with the dates in front, I want to be able to slowly have the bows start appearing all throughout the tree and not just from the top to bottom or the bottom to top. So if this is, you know, day 1 and then day 2, etc. You know what I'm saying? So I am gonna go ahead and arrange this because I do want the colors to be all mixed up. So I'm just gonna arrange it in the direction of the tree that I want it to be in. Mix it up like this. Now that I have all of my bows arranged in the order that I want it in, before I flip it over and start labeling, I'm actually going to start putting in the holes where I'm gonna be tying these threads. Again, I just used the pen trick that I used in some of my previous DIYs. Instead of using a hole puncher, I just take a pen. Let me get a piece of cardboard. And then I just take my pen and stab it through until there's a little hole. And I'm going to try to get it the same on each one. The reason I'm doing this step now, even though we're not going to go and hang it just yet, is because when I go to flip it over and label them, I'll know exactly where the top of the circle is, so I can make sure all of the numbers are labeled in the same place on each circle. Now that all of our holes are punched and our bows are glued, we're gonna flip these all over, making sure that the holes are on top. And then we can go ahead and start labeling them with the days of December. So I think I'm gonna do it towards the bottom center. You'll see how I'm gonna finish these off, but I wanna leave space at the top for the finishing detail. So maybe I'll do a 1 here. I think I'll add cute little dots for added decor. Maybe we'll do the 2 up here. All right, we have all of our numbers labeled. I'm just gonna go ahead and make myself a little cheat sheet just in case. Because we did arrange the bows in a certain order, so I want to make sure I keep it that way when I go to putting the whole tree together. So I'm just writing down the order of which dates I put. Now our next step is going to be to tie them on. For this step, we're going to use our needle, and I'm using green thread. So I am going to thread my needle. We're not going to need a lot of thread for each of these, so I'm just going to cut a short amount. Give it a little knot at the end. We're going to take our tube, the seam of the wrapping paper, that's going to be the bottom of the tube. So I'm going to just make sure to hold it like that and then pick a spot that's about 1 centimeter in and start pushing it through. Now we're also going to be pushing it through the white paper So you want to hold that white paper in place and then stick it through. Now that our thread is through, I'm just going to cut the needle off. We're going to pull the thread until there's just a little bit left, and we're going to secure it down with hot glue. Just a small dab, and then you can kind of push it down, flatten it out with your hot glue gun. Now that that's done, we're gonna do even more tedious work, and that is to actually tie these circles onto the toilet paper tubes. So I'm using my handy dandy pen to help me just push the knots through the hole. You can definitely use the sewing needle again if you needed to for this. I find that the pen works just fine. Just push it through and pull it out like so. I cut the threads a little bit too short, so I couldn't really tie it, so I just decided to not even bother. I just threaded these knots through, and then I'm gonna just use the super glue to finish it off. So all of my covers are just resting on top of the rolls. I'm gonna give each of these threads a little trim, making sure to leave some excess because we're gonna be folding it over and gluing it onto the other side. Now we're going to add the last decorative touch to the front side of these tube covers. We're going to go ahead and add some hot glue to the front. Pull this thread, stick it into that hot glue, and then we're going to go in and add lots of hot glue and create really cool little icicle patterns. And finish it off like that. And because there isn't nearly enough glitter in this project, we're gonna go ahead and pick up all of this excess glitter and just sprinkle it on the glue while it's drying. All right, that was the last one. Now we can finally start constructing our Christmas tree. I'm going to refer to my cheat sheet with all of the numbers in which order I wanted to put all of my tubes. I'm gonna give this a generous helping and then stick these bad boys together as straight as I possibly can. And then I'll probably go in and add extra layers of hot glue down the middle, just to make sure it's secure.
Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties, so my camera decided to stop recording and not save anything that was recorded. Luckily, you guys didn't miss much. I finished gluing the entire tree together. This is the final product. This decorative ribbon is actually a wire ribbon, which I would definitely suggest because it allows you to really form the shape that you want. I love a full bow. And then I just have the ribbons kind of flowing down the sides of the tree. I also ended up making this platform, which wasn't planned until the end, but I didn't want to continue handling all of that glitter. So I actually made this platform out of that cardboard that you saw me sticking the pen through to punch these holes. Those were pretty thin strips, but I ended up taping 2 strips together so that it was a wider strip. and then I did 2 layers of cardboard. And then I just covered it up with this, which is actually a car drying cloth that I picked up at the Dollar Tree last year for Christmas decor because I loved the texture of it and I thought it gave it a really cool faux snow look, which is perfect for this tree. It came out so much cuter than I envisioned. The great thing about this project is that you can really customize it to fit your style and to fit your family's needs. Again, if you wanted to do the days all in order, you can totally do it that way. I've spread them out, and this is why. So this is December 1st, so once it's the 1st, we can flip this over, and then there's a little bow. And then we go to the 2nd, flip that over, the 3rd, and you get where I'm going with this. The bows just start popping up in random parts of the tree, so it's starting to look a little bit more decorated every day, and it's not looking like just bows on the bottom or just bows on the top. And then of course you can add your little treats in these tubes. Yum. If you don't like the idea of a piece of candy every day, you don't have to do that. You can find little toys like little race cars, maybe little finger puppets. I actually included some little notes. So for day 1, there's a little note in there. This one says, "Let's go see Santa." So I think that's a really fun idea. You can just write little notes to denote like what you're going to be doing that day. Maybe you can do a little ice skate figurine, and then whenever they get to that day and open that up, that'll just tell you guys that you get to go ice skating that day. And just, you know, be really creative with it. I think that this just came out so perfect and so pretty. Look at all that gorgeous glitter. I mean, can you ever really go wrong with gold glitter? And there's even glitter on these snowflakes on the ribbon. So that's this project. I had fun making it. It definitely took a lot longer than I thought because I had to do everything 24 times. But it was so worth it. I'm for sure going to be reusing this year after year because it came out so good. If you love the way that it turns out, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. Let me know how you really feel. And if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. I know that this channel is still pretty small, but I have a lot of big ideas for you guys, a lot of fun DIYs that I can't wait to bring your way. And once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm actually going to treat myself to a new camera so I don't have those technical difficulties again, and I can just bring you guys more quality videos that you all love. So subscribe, hit that notification button. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy holidays!